Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today's video will be analyzing some possible connections players can make between the first two Team Eco games to demonstrate the strengths of subtle environmental storytelling, as well as me just simply partaking in the joy that is fan theorizing. Disclaimer, for the sake of convenience, I will be abbreviating Shadow of the Colossus simply as SOTC, just in case anyone would get confused. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's get started. First off, in Eco we see these horned statues, and making a statue of someone typically tends to indicate reverence alone, but these in particular are, to my eyes at least, clearly striking a more like heroic pose for lack of a better term. Thus, it is plausible to assume that the creators of these statues viewed horned people positively, despite it by the time of Eco, of course, being a place where horned kids are sent to be sacrificed in some way. We know that SOTC is a prequel to Eco, and the origin of the horned people in the shared universe that is literally stated by Fumita himself right here. As you can see here, Game Informer asks them directly, "Can you clear something up for us? Is the boy at the end of Shadow of the Colossus supposed to be from the original Eco? And is Shadow of the Colossus a prequel to Eco?" And then Ueda answers very specifically, "I didn't intend the boy to be the same as in Eco. Yes, users have thought that Shadow of the Colossus is a prequel to Eco, and that's my idea as well. I wanted to make it so imagination is up to the user." There you go. Also know that according to the SOTC art book, that the voice during the loading screens after you fight each Colossus and as you're traveling through the void ending up back at the temple, that's actually Mono begging him to stop. So unless her memory was wiped upon revival, she'd be relatively aware that this horned baby is whatever is left in this world of Wander. Therefore, if she were to speak about him, she'd likely portray this event to others as like a heroic deed, so to speak, for, him reviving her and all that. And that the people who hear these tales and see him, or other horned people in general, would probably be the type of folks who would revere these horned humans enough to make statues of them, perhaps. Now, to get to my next connection, we have to sidetrack a bit. I'm going to briefly touch on the cut storyboards when there were 24 Colossi, but I recommend watching this video if you want a full breakdown of that. But in short, the storyboards reveal that there was a giant natural catastrophe in the ancient past, and some people blamed that on the giants who roamed the area and were seen as gods previously to all people. Those who blamed them specifically started to hunt the giants down and called themselves as a group the Doormen, whilst the other half of humanity denounced the Doormen's killing of the giants, becoming the Elders. All the souls of the murdered giants and the dead Doormen members began coalescing into the hill that the Sky Temple is built on in SOTC, and both groups spread out, founding settlements based on their worldview, and ultimately they went to war, with the anti-Dorman faction winning and using runes slash magic, to seal the now combined soul of the slain Colossi and all the dead Dorman members in the very land where they once slew the giants, so hence why the Forbidden Lands are forbidden in the first place. Assuming the history hasn't been completely lost to its people, then that leads me to several implications that could indirectly give us more info on possible connections between SOTC and Eco. So if Mono shares my hypothesized heroic tale version of this horde kid with other people, it would kind of split opinions. One could easily portray his actions as defeating the Dorman to free this once sacred land, which would lead many to return to their ancestors' homeland, all heroic and positive. That's one narrative. But on the other hand, this could be portrayed as an evil repetition of Dorman's actions, with the Horned Boy possibly still harboring a connection with the souls of Dorman. Thus you'd have two groups, one which considers the Horned people sacred, and probably had something to do with the castle that we explore in Eco, given the previously aforementioned architectural reverence shown towards horned people, whereas the other group considers them a symbol of evil, and their appearance outside of the Forbidden Lands a sign of evil is like spreading and all that. And so likely those would be the type of people who would ship horde children away to be sacrificed. In my humble opinion, getting rid of this extra lore from the art book in the final product is a case of Ueda's design by subtraction philosophy going a bit too far for me personally. Even if we got this cut lore in the storyboards, and somehow I was just magically literally right about everything I hypothesized in this video, and that was all true, I still think there would be more than enough mystery to satisfy most players in just the connection between Eco and SOTC alone, let alone all the subjects of the game. I mean, think about it, we still wouldn't know what happened to Mono by the time of Eco. Is she dead, or did Dorman's revival of her make her like biologically immortal or something? Is the world's first horned baby at the end of SOTC? Is that fully Wander? Is that Dorman? Is that part of both? Is that neither? Also, speaking of that first Horned Kid, Ueda confirms that the Horned Boy at the end of SOTC isn't Iko himself, but that begs the question, what happened to the first boy? Is he still alive? Did he die? Did anybody speak of his tales? We don't know anything about that. Also, we have no idea how the trait of hordes spreads from this first kid. Like, is it a trait only exclusive to his descendants, or can anyone who throws themselves into that pool be transformed into a horde baby under the right circumstances? Is it just being born on the land? Like, we have no idea. Is having horns also a trait exclusive to boys? Because we never see horned girls in either Eco or SOTC. Also, what happened to the Sky Temple or the Forbidden Lands by the time of Eco, since SOTC is a prequel to it? We're not entirely sure. What was that supposed cursed fate Mono was sacrificed for in the first place? We still don't know. What does the queen, who clearly abused horned children in the midst of a castle depicting them with heroic statues, like, how does that dichotomy exist? What's going on there? We still wouldn't know that entirely. And lastly, we would be able to imply it, but we wouldn't know it. And then lastly, we would also know basically nothing still about how magic works at all in this universe. And I mean, heck, some of these mysteries would be outright amplified with this little bit of extra lore from the cut story content. For example, where even the castle in Eco is. A lot of fans theorize it's where the SOTC area is, and the cut lore tells us the Dorman as a group spread way beyond the Forbidden Lands though, so thus this castle, despite having magic that definitely looks identical to the shadow magic used by Dorman and SOTC, this place doesn't necessarily have to be in the Forbidden Lands itself. However, then again, all the evidence that fans have that they use to speculate that it is in the Forbidden Lands would still be there. This doesn't erase that, and therefore all you've done is given the discussion more fuel without like definitely ruling one way or the other. Okay, now I'm starting to ramble a bit, so I'm gonna end this video here. I hope this video gave you all some fun ideas to throw around your minds. Love you all, and have a good day.